Gail mentioned that we performed the Bakhtin's defence of his PhD thesis. He made it into a little play. And I was looking back at that a while ago, and I noticed this little bit in what Bakhtin himself said. You could say there are certain, besides phrases, you can get down to single words. And a big word for me is just simply noticing something. And I noticed in what Bakhtin said some things which ran absolutely parallel, of course, not surprising, with my own thinking. So I thought I would just read out this little fragment from Bakhtin's own mouth. And it goes like this. He says, "Dear colleagues, originally when I first approached the work of Rabelais, it was not for an end in itself. While working on the problem of the novel, I came to the conclusion that might be formulated generally like this. Literary scholarship, or academic scholarship, historical and theoretical, is oriented towards what we might call the classical form in literature. That is, and here are the crucial words, forms of ready-made, finished being. Whereas in literature itself, especially in the unofficial, little-known, anonymous folk or quasi-folk literature, what predominates are utterly different forms. And Bakhtin said I call them grotesque forms, forms which ought to be excluded from proper scholarship. The primary goal of this type of form consists in somehow capturing being in the process of becoming, in its non-ready-madeness, its non-finishedness, its non-ready-madeness in principle, an unfinishable state of the matter in principle. And then he goes on to say that he began to study Dostoevsky's way of writing, that Dostoevsky was interested in this unfinished and stuff that couldn't ever be finished. And this was why it could never be theorised or conceptualised. And then he ends by saying, this is a world, a dark world for us. And I was reading some what was happening in contemporary physics at the time that I noticed this little bit, where I noticed that attitudes were changing towards the whole notion of black holes in cosmology. That black holes used to be thought of as what you might call the dustbin of the cosmos, that everything went into black holes and got lost there, whereas the thought that was changing was that black holes were the fountainhead of the cosmos, that dark matter was the source of everything new. The unready-made stuff, the stuff that's dark for us. So here was an exact parallel, and this is something I have found actually, time and again, that thinking even in quantum physics is running parallel to a lot of the thinking that's going on in our with the worries that we have. So there's a little bit from Bakhtin about this focusing on the coming into being of something. And the interest is in how does it come into being, not what is its being like once it's happened, but that overall process that provides on the one hand the potentiality and then on the other hand, the surrounding conditions which allow that potentiality to be realised. So here we are in the middle of a lot of new thinking that's just at its beginnings. And by the way, I stole that quote of in language there are only beginnings and beginnings and beginnings, not from Wittgenstein, but from Gertrude Stein. It's all stolen. And don't be alone. There are so many other people thinking this stuff now, actually.
Thank you.